All right, 2K crew, if you followed us for any length of time, you know we love to do drafts. So Darcy Plummer, one of our Patreons, suggested because we did the NBA all-time draft for the 100th season of the NFL, how about we do the NFL all-time draft? So, of course, we dove in, we did our draft, we invited someone special in the studio to help us out, be our third pick, so Kyle and I aren't just picking against each other. Make it more interesting, and hell, it actually turned out very, very awesome, so I'm excited to share that with you. We also tackled the NFL playoffs, as well as the baseball sign-stealing scandal situation, whatever you want to call it. I didn't really want to do this because the Red Sox are involved, and I am a Red Sox fan, but it's a big story, so we figured we had to do it. So here it is. Let's jump into it right now. $2K crew, what is up? Welcome to episode fucking 50, 5-0. And we got something special on tap for you guys and gals today. And for those of you on YouTube, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, drop us a comment, all that good shit. And if you're listening to us on the podcast, on the audio side, if you are on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and leave us a 5-star review and a comment. And if you do, we will read it on the show. So with that aside, the folks on YouTube are getting a good glimpse of this lovely, handsome man sitting at the bar with us, and I'm going to introduce him, and then we'll kind of give you a rundown of what the hell we're going to do today. Because like I said, we got something special. So we have Mr. Corey. How you doing, brother?
Good, guys. How are you?
Just give that. Obviously, folks in Marcellus, you're pretty well known, but for everyone that isn't, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, thanks for the introduction. I don't know if I'm well known. I'm sure there's days where people are like, I don't like that guy.
They know you. I didn't say they like you.
That's true.
There's a big difference.
That's true. Well, a little bit about me. I'm a assistant football coach here at the high school, Marcellus. I've known these guys for quite a while now. Well, what'd you say, Turbo? Probably close to 20?
Over that, because I was a sophomore or junior in high school.
Yeah.
That's going on 22 years since I graduated.
Yeah,
so.
That's probably about the time I was born.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, I'm dating myself now. But, yeah, so I've been part of the community here for quite a while now and been welcomed with open arms, and that's been very nice. And have a good coaching staff that I work with, great group of guys. School staff is very supportive, and, hey, here we are.
Awesome. All right, well, folks, what we're going to get into today is obviously, it's Sunday. We got the two big games on that's going to decide who the fuck goes to the Super Bowl. And I don't think, out of the possible outcomes, I think you could have any of the teams in there. I think it's going to be a great game. I really do. And then we're going to jump off into which is the reason we brought Corey on, is we're going to have, and this is our tribute to the 100 years of the NFL. And it was a suggestion by Darcy, and she's one of our Patreons, and we like to do what they ask for the most part. But we thought this is a lot of fun. We did the all-time NBA draft, and now we're going to do the all-time NFL draft. And kind of we'll get into the ins and outs when we get to that. But Mr. 2Ks, what are your thoughts? I mean, this playoff has been probably one of the more exciting, just because there isn't that one dominant team. There hasn't been all year, which we thought might have been Baltimore for sure. Mm-hmm. But
I think going at the beginning of the season, a lot of people were kind of thinking the Chiefs were gonna, do that.
Yeah, and
took them a little bit to get going, get healthy. But going into the playoffs, Chiefs are, you can make an argument with the Chiefs and the Titans also, the two hottest teams in football to begin the playoffs.
Absolutely. And the fucking drubbing that they put on. I text you.
Yeah, but I left here when that game was kicking off, and by the time I got to my house, which is about 6 minutes away, it was 14-0.
Texans.
And the Texans had the ball back.
Yeah. And I was posting memes. I was like, holy shit. I made a TikTok about it. I'm like, oh, fuck, this is actually happening. And then Pat Mahomes said, no. No. And let's be legit. If they really wanted to, the Chiefs could have hung 100.
Oh,
Yeah, probably without a doubt. But, like you guys said there, it was kind of looking a little scary there at first.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, this is going to be a repeat again. Here we go.
Yeah, I thought it was business as usual. I'm like, all right, well, obviously a home team can't win a fucking playoff game this whole playoff. So, and then, but to get to that 14 points, was there an interception, a fumble, and I mean there was stuff. The block punt.
Yes,
kind of what got it started.
Well, they had some short field, and when you get a short field, especially in the playoff games, man, that makes a world of difference.
Absolutely.
I talked about it the week before when it was Texans and Bills in the wild card rounds, and just really, really bad coaching moves on both sides in that game.
Yes.
Bill O'Brien and also on Buffalo's side. And then you fast forward to the next week, and it's the same. Bill O'Brien, at the time it was 21-0. You were running all over him, and you have a fourth and about half a yard, and you decide to kick the field goal. So you take your points at the time. I mean, I would have personally. I think it's. I mean, I understand hindsight's 20/20,
Right.
But I'm thinking at the time, you're controlling this game. Keep your fucking foot on the gas pedal and let's go and try to score another touchdown.
Here's another thing though too. I mean, they're up 24-0, and he goes for a fake punt in his own 30.
Yes,
and that changed the whole complexion right there.
Yes,
I mean, you're up 24-0. I mean, I would rather have Kansas City go 85 yards as opposed to 35 yards where it's going to be 7 on the board just like that. I mean, I didn't understand that call.
And the last thing that you can do with the Chiefs, and we talked all season long about, Lamar, and what Jackson was doing there, and he was the best player in the MVP of the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Patrick Mahomes is still the best fucking quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
You can't give him the ball in the short field. You can't give him momentum, and by trying that fake punt and not being able to, I don't know, I think it was 4th and 6, backed up. And you give them the ball, and at that time I can remember I was watching the game with my dad, and I remember looking at him like this ball game is over.
Yep.
They're not going to they're going to keep the Chiefs are going to keep getting the ball back, and they're not going to be able to stop them, and they couldn't. They could not stop them the remainder of the game.
They couldn't. They kicked a couple field goals there to kind of keep it close, but man, you can't. If you're going to trade blows, you got to score touchdowns, man. You can't settle for 3.
And this is something that we kind of touched on. It was either last week or the week before, how Baltimore's offense is explosive. I mean, Lamar and any one of those guys can take it 90 yards if they need to. Kansas City's offense is even more explosive, or they're explosive in different ways. It's very rare where you would see Lamar throw a 50-yard bomb and have a 90-yard touchdown pass. With Mahomes, it could happen at any play.
Well, and I think the fact of the matter is too, this is not to take anything away from Lamar Jackson. I mean, he's an outstanding athlete. But I believe in that game he was 21 of 59. He had over 500 total yards of offense, but I would dare say, 3/4 of that was in garbage time.
Yep.
And he got exposed again. His numbers were great in the regular season throwing the ball because a lot of times they were playing ahead a lot, and the coaching staff was making it simple, going half field reads and things of that nature. So, and he give him credit, he did what he was supposed to do there. But I always go back. I like the running quarterbacks and things of that nature. But bottom line in the NFL, and you're seeing it in the playoffs right now, when push comes to shove, and you look at Ryan Tannehill as an example right now. I mean, he hasn't lit it up by any stretch of the imagination, because why would he when Derrick Henry
need to.
Exactly, but
about 30+ times.
He's got to make that throw when he has to, and still make the reads and be a pocket passer. Maybe Lamar will still learn. I mean, we forget he's still. I don't think he's even 22, 23 maybe.
I thought that I heard that when Burrow gets drafted this year, Burrow's going to be older than him.
Yeah.
Or Burrow is older than him.
So I mean, and I know a lot of people are going to jump on me like, "What are you talking about? This guy, blah blah." I'm like, just pump your brakes a little bit. I mean, I'm not saying he's horrible, but
no.
Someone posed a question, I think, on your guys' Facebook page a while back during the season of who would you take, Deshaun Jackson or Lamar, or not Jackson? I'm sorry, Deshaun Watson.
Yeah,
Lamar.
that was probably me. Yeah.
Well, and people jumped all over me because I took Deshaun just because if you watch Deshaun, he can actually make his reads and progressions.
He's a better passer.
Exactly, and you're gonna have to be a passer in the NFL if you're gonna survive.
Yeah, because that was my biggest thing watching Lamar all year, is when, not if, but when is he gonna get hurt? Mm-hmm. You got that 300-pound dude's just jumping on you all the time. It's Mike Vick's career was, I mean, he had his ups and downs and broken legs and shit like that.
Yes.
There's a reason why Russell Wilson likes to slide now and run out of bounds instead of taking on hits like he used to.
Well, Turbo, you brought up a good point there. You look at, Michael Vick. Michael Vick said it himself. I had to learn how to become a passer.
Yeah.
Great athlete. Phenomenal athlete. We haven't seen
An
an athlete
amazing
like
arm.
that. We haven't seen anyone like that really since Randall Cunningham. And, I think we all would agree that Vick was a better athlete.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And even Steve Young was a phenomenal athlete, but he had to learn how to be a pocket passer too, and he became a damn good one. So
I mean, there's
time.
The sky's the limit with that kid.
Yeah,
I mean, he's got an arm. It's not. People could argue that Steve Young had a horrible arm, which he kind of did, but yeah, it's something that can be fixed, and when it does, he's going to be unstoppable. Mm-hmm. So I guarantee the coaches in Baltimore are already working on that. It's not something that's like, oh shit, we got to go do this.
I think he's going to grow, but there's a part of me too that says I hope he didn't reach his peak.
Yeah.
Because these guys do get paid, and at some point you do get found out. Mm-hmm. And I just hope for his sake that's not the case.
I mean, is he going to be a passer like a Peyton Manning or a Drew Brees? Probably not.
No.
Probably not, but he has to be effective enough and make the reads and everything like you're saying, so that they ease off so he can run. So all of his other running backs, Mark Ingram had an amazing season. Mm-hmm. And if Jackson were able to take the top off that defense just a little more often, Ingram's going to have 1,500, 1,800 yards rushing every year.
Well, and let's give credit where credit is due. The Titans came in and basically bullied them.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, they bludgeoned them with a hammer from head to toe. Yep. And it was basically, and this is what I love about it. It's old school. They stood up. Tannehill goes, "We're running right." And sure enough, they ran right, and they couldn't stop it. I'm just chuckling on the inside, laughing, going, "That's awesome."
Well, would you want to tackle that big ass dude? No.
No, I wouldn't. But it's just funny when you can call your shot, and just go, "Yep, we're coming." 4th and a yard. Guess who's getting it? Here it is. Oh, you couldn't stop it? I'm sorry.
So let's give a little love to the Marcellus connection in the Super Bowl here. The 49ers and Niners. I think this is going to be, like I said, both games are going to be amazing. You've got the opposing forces in Tennessee and Kansas City.
Yeah.
You've got the ground and pound. If they score 24, 28 points, that's a lot, because that's probably all they need. Their defense is hitting on all cylinders. Then you got Pat Mahomes, who I'm pretty sure the time of possession stat is not going to mean a fucking thing to him.
No, it's pretty much just a toy.
Yeah.
To him.
So that's two opposing forces going right at you. Whereas with Green Bay and San Francisco, they're a little bit more similar than the other two. Both of them have great running games. Both of them have the 49ers defense, in my opinion, is a lot better than Green Bay's, but this is probably one of the better defenses Aaron Rodgers has had. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So they're that's the reason why they're here, But I think it's going to be a big game for Jimmy G because he's had some haters out there. Some people saying that, there's one of them right there, that aren't, buying into how great he is and all of this, and could be a step in that right direction to silence Kyle, tell him to shut the fuck up.
Well, you used the word great with him, and he reminds me of, and with the defense that he has, it kind of reminds me of that Baltimore Ravens with Dilfer.
Oh,
Dilfer just had to take care of the ball.
He's a way better quarterback
few
than Trey
plays.
Dilfer.
Well, this is where people will probably slap me because what I see, because I look at their similarity in body type and sometimes their demeanor is Jay Cutler.
You think so?
I think he's better than Jay Cutler. I don't think he's as dumb as Jay Cutler. But, when you watch, last week against Minnesota, that defense was just so good that you're watching throws that,
Kirk
Jimmy
Cousins
G
looks silly in that game.
Well, Jimmy G's making these throws, and I'm like, you're throwing off your back foot, into triple coverage, and guys are dropping interceptions, and Minnesota did take one back to the house, but even though San Francisco got off to a 17-point lead or something like that, and you knew Minnesota wasn't going to come back, he's still making some boneheaded throws. Now, if he does that today against Green Bay, there's a good chance that San Francisco could lose, but I believe San Francisco, kind of like I stated with Tennessee, is going to come out and bludgeon them on the front, on the defensive side of the ball, because that front is just disgusting.
And on the Packers side, how a win today, I think we can all agree Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah.
I still think he is now.
Yeah.
I think where people's bugaboo is and where they get hung up is they want to put him in the all-time great category.
He's not there yet.
No, he's still got the statistics. If he were to retire now, he's got one ring. His statistics still back it up. I mean, his completion percentage is still through the roof. He's got the yardage. He's got the touchdowns. He'll be, I don't know if he'll be a first ballot, but, at least second or third. He'll get in.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think, people will look at him in the pantheon of all-time great quarterbacks if he doesn't get another ring.
No, he's definitely not on my Mount Rushmore of NFL quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But a second ring kind of makes him more legit, gives him a better. I mean, if you think about it, fucking Eli has 2 rings.
Joe Namath has one.
Yeah, yeah.
And people, I know you guys are a little bit younger than I am, but you know Broadway Joe, but you look at his statistics. I think even his career, people go, well, wins isn't a quarterback stat. Well, it's kind of like in baseball. Well, 20 wins doesn't mean anything. Well, the guy's still throwing the damn ball.
Yeah.
He contributes to the win somehow.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Joe Namath's stats were not gaudy by any stretch of the imagination. No. So,
and I mean, even for the longest time, Roethlisberger's weren't either.
No.
And it wasn't until Tomlin and they got the pieces together, Bell and Brown and all of those receivers to where Ben was throwing for 5,000 yards every year.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that had to do with throwing to Bell out of the backfield and all that other stuff. But early in his career, when he won his first one or two,
oh, gee, he was horrible.
Yeah. So
I mean that was Super Bowl 40 in Detroit. That defense carried them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he was horrible that game. I don't think he had 150 yards passing.
Him in the bus.
Choo choo.
But I think a second ring will give him more of a better foundation to build towards. I'm not saying he'll get to that Mount Rushmore status, in my opinion, but there's other people that do. Is he a great quarterback? Yes, he's one of the best quarterbacks of this generation, hands down. But it's getting that extra ring, I think, is where, I think that's what drove Peyton to go to the Broncos, to get another ring. One wasn't good enough. So let's see, because there's a lot of folks out there that say that, Rodgers can't win a big one anymore. So,
well, I think the thing for Mr. Rodgers' neighborhood there, if you will, it was the last 2-3 years he's been coming off injuries too.
Yes.
And I think for this year, he's had gaudy numbers in terms of touchdowns to interceptions. I mean, he had like 25 to 6 or something like that. I mean, that's a great stat, but he's not pulling the trigger like he was. I think he's a little gun shy, and I think the injuries had something to do with that a little bit.
Absolutely.
Because, I mean, usually he lights up the Lions, man. When he sees the Lions on the schedule, he is salivating.
Yeah, 4 and 5 touchdowns and 400 yards.
That last game of the season against the Lions, he looked horrible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's missing wide open guys and missing easy throws, and it's not like the Lions front seven was giving him any pressure either. It was like playing flag football 7-on-7 stuff.
And I think what helps Mr. Rodgers in the long run is that running game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, he has a legit back. I mean, he was at least tied, if not the NFL leader in rushing touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here's some food for thought for you guys.
Oh,
you
shit.
know, and see what you guys think. I mean, I like I said, in my pick, I'm going with San Francisco, but I kind of look at Green Bay being one-dimensional on offense.
Good.
And I'm like, how can that be with Aaron Rodgers? I mean, you've watched his play over the last month. He has not been sharp. He has not been good. And if I'm San Francisco, and I mean, I didn't watch the first game other than seeing the score, you know, so I mean, it wasn't really close, obviously, but, you know, if it were me, I'm just going to say, hey, Devontae Adams isn't beating us. Jimmy Graham's not Jimmy Graham anymore.
No.
And we're going to bracket him and double him and I'm talking about Devontae Adams, of course. And then we're going to like man you up and kind of beat the crap out of you and say, Aaron, make the throw.
Yeah.
And get you in third and long, kind of like what he did with Kirk Cousins last week, and force them to beat you over the top instead of run the ball like they want to do.
Well, Mr. Kyle Shanahan, if you're listening, I guarantee Corey would love a job coaching and helping your team, brother. But no, you're absolutely right, and we'll get to our picks here in a little bit, but I think this is the San Francisco Green Bay game. I think it's going to be closer than what people think. I think it's going to be low scoring, whereas the other one, the Titans Chiefs, it could go the same way it went with Baltimore, or it could go with Mahomes just throwing 80 touchdowns and lighten everything up, and so that's more of a wild card to me. That's what's intriguing me about that. But you're right. I think whichever defense steps up and does the job better is going to win between the 49ers and in Green Bay. That's going to be more of a defensive game, whereas the offense for the other game is going to be under the microscope more, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of picks, 2Ks, and we're not doing paycheck and onions this week, folks. It's been a hell of a Sunday. I don't even want to get into it, but we are going to pick the two games for today. So 2Ks, who you got and why you got them?
Well, I'll just start with the first game today, which will be the Titans and Chiefs. Man, I really want to. I've been riding with the Titans for the last. I mean, pretty much since Tannehill took over the job. Yep. I've always kind of been a Tannehill fan. Didn't really think that he had a fair shot in Miami. I mean, it's kind of been
it's fucking
Miami forever. I mean, they've never really had anybody around. But I just think that they're running into a Chiefs team with the offense, and I don't. Can Derrick Henry run the ball 45 times? I mean, he's ran the ball over 30 times the last 3 games. Can he run it 45 times and try to keep the ball out of Mahomes' hands? Because
that's the only way they're going to win.
Yeah, if they can completely control the time of possession and take the ball out of their hands and then kind of do what they were able to do last week and force turnovers, because the Ravens were able to move the ball down the field, but the problem is they turned the ball over on down twice. They turned the ball over with a couple interception right on the very first drive that led to a touchdown, but I just don't see that happening. So I'm picking the Chiefs in the first game.
All right.
And then you want me to pick my second game?
Yep.
The second game also.
Fire it up.
Second game, Niners and Green Bay. That Niners defense is just that, especially that defensive line. You know, the first going back to whatever week it was when they played there in the middle of the season, Rodgers didn't even have any time to throw. I mean, didn't have time to do anything.
That game was a blowout.
And I like, if this game was, so I look at week 17, Niners and Seahawks. And the Niners were able to win that game to give them, number 1 seed and give them home field advantage throughout these playoffs. And they tackled, I think it was Hollister on the 1 yard line, and were able to hold them out to win that game.
Yeah.
If Hollister gets in the end zone there, this game's played at Lambeau tonight, and I think it could go the whole different direction.
It's very true.
But because it is in San Francisco, I don't see Green Bay being able to go to its candlestick, right?
Something like that.
Well, it used to be.
Candlestick. I still can't. I don't see Green Bay going
Is
over
it
there.
Levi Stadium?
Is it Levi?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring your 504s.
I'm still calling it candlestick. I don't see Green Bay being able to go there and beat the 49ers on their home field.
Mr. Corey, what are your picks, my friend?
Well, like I said, we'll go with the first game. I know the popular opinion, obviously, and rightfully so. I mean, you look at what Kansas City has on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, they've kind of improved a little bit, but they're still not up to snuff yet.
No.
I'm sure where they would like to be. But the run defense did get better, where it was kind of a sieve last year. But, I mean, Mahomes is out of this world. He's got these short little receivers who are just like bugs on water, quicker with Hill, and I can't remember the other guy's name right now, but and you still got Travis Kelce over in the middle.
Damian Williams has come out of nowhere.
Well, they finally stopped fucking around with Shady McCoy.
Yeah.
I mean,
like I said last week, why can't they do it the whole fucking season?
Yeah.
My fantasy team would have been a lot better.
you would have ended up beating
Assholes.
Franklin.
At least once.
But I people fall in love with the glitz and the glamour, because it's what's on the marquee and that's what brings people in and stuff. But people tend to forget, though, Kansas City still doesn't run the ball very well. And there's going to be a time where they might have to stick it in there for like a 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, or a 4th and 1 even, and it's not like they don't have other options. I mean, Patrick Mahomes can get it with his feet, but there does come a point in time where you have to just say, we got to man up and go.
Yep.
But I'm going with Tennessee in this one. It's going to be, probably a lot like their other games. It's not going to be like overwhelming in terms of the score, but I think it'll be like a touchdown or 3 or 4 point game. And the reason I say that is Tennessee has that look of like the Giants a few years ago, where they got in, and there's just something when it's rolling and you got the momentum. They're well coached. If you look back at the New England playoff game with Tennessee when they went up there and beat the GOAT and all that good stuff, and you look at Mike Vrabel out coaching Bill Belichick, out Bill Belichicking him, with the clock situation there with the punt, and running it up so he doesn't get an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. I thought that's great, but that's the type of stuff Vrabel's going to do. That's not really Andy Reid's style. Andy Reid's gonna spread it, run and gun it. We want to chuck it all over here, and I think also defensively though Tennessee has guys though that they can match up on the offensive side against Kansas City a little bit. They'll probably play some man, I would guess, because they got so many weapons, and you sit there and play zone against Kansas City, those guys are going to find those soft spots, and
they're going to eat you up.
Oh yeah, well Patrick Mahomes is like shooting fish in a barrel, ping, 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 ping. He's going to have 500 yards at halftime before you know it,
and 400 that's to Travis Kelce.
Exactly, and they're going to be in this classic example of trading time and space. Okay, you got your first down, but look at the clock. We're up 10-0. It's third quarter. Oh, well, you got the ball and the clock's still running. There's 2 minutes left. Oh, well, we forced you to punt. Here we are in the fourth quarter. There's 15 minutes left to go in the game. It's like 17-3 or something like that. And, okay, yeah, you caught the ball and you're in bounds. Clock's still running, Well, Mahomes has got 400 yards, but you're still down 2 scores, So I think that's kind of how I view it playing out a little bit. Now, could I be wrong? Absolutely, because they're just, guesses, of course.
Absolutely.
But Big Mo is on Tennessee's side right now, and that's something you can't take lightly. I mean, they don't turn the ball over. I mean, Tannehill doesn't have a turnover. Now I probably jinxed him. I'll probably throw one today. But, they're good on special teams. Obviously, we know their defense, and we run the ball without saying. The second game, I'm going with San Francisco. And I think it's going to be, at least 10 points. I think it's going to be a double-digit margin of victory. I really think they're going to force Green Bay to be one-dimensional because, people are like, Green Bay's here, and you watch all the Green Bay fans post online and this, we're going. And they gloss over the fact that in the second half, Seattle pretty much punched him in the mouth.
Oh, yeah.
If they could find a way to get off the field on third down, especially on that last drive Green Bay had to put the game away, they get a stop. They could not stop Seattle. And we're talking Seattle instead of Green Bay. I mean, that's just the facts. But, again, tip your hat. They made one more play, and here they are on the cusp of the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
They made one more play with a questionable spot.
Yeah.
I see people talk about that spot, but let's be realistic. I mean, I'm a Lions fan. I've seen them get hosed in Green Bay. But they got that spot right. I really believe.
Yeah, to me, it was whatever was called on the field. There was no way that they were going to be able to look back on that and
there was no way they could overturn
it.
that.
And me watching it live on the field, I thought it was a first down also.
To me, it looked too. And I know the whole question was, well, did the ball cross over because it was in his left hand when he went over? His knees didn't touch, and if you looked at it from the eye, he pretty much got there. I mean, you look at that sideline view of that camera.
If you look at the yellow, you can't. Everybody goes off the yellow line going across the field. That yellow line's really not there.
No.
It's just there, for us guys watching it on TV. And if you look at the yellow line and then you look at where the actual stick was,
off.
The yellow line was off.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. But as I said before, I just think the Niners defense is just, man, those guys are good right now.
And Corey, I'm right there with you on both games for exactly the same reasons. The first game, I'm riding that Tennessee train. I really am. Would it shock me if Pat Mahomes lights him up? Not a single bit.
Yeah.
But looking at taking the defenses for those games, you have to take Tennessee. You have to like Tennessee's defense more than Kansas City.
Oh, for sure.
And 2K's shout out. The punter might be the secret fucking weapon. Mr. Kearns.
I shot him out last, and then he had a hell of a game.
Yeah. So
again,
that punter might be instrumental in pinning Mahomes in that offense way down the field.
Absolutely.
So another shout out to punters, but yeah, I think that's going to play a big part. And Derrick Henry's going to be Derrick Henry, and I don't think even though. Everyone's going to stack the box against him. No one stopped him.
No, and what Derrick Henry did in these last 2 weeks against arguably two of the best defenses in the NFL. Now he's going to play against a pretty mediocre defense, and you said it earlier. They have been pretty susceptible to the run. For years. I mean, that's kind of been their thing. Their defense has gotten better this year at defending the run a little bit. They've gotten a lot better at defending the pass.
Yeah.
But as far as still in the rushing game. I see that. I really can see Henry going for like 35, 36 carries today for over 200 yards.
I could see that.
And then
it's not inconceivable.
At this point, the dude just he amazes me every single week now.
I saw this funny statistic. Well, I don't know if it's really funny, but it's just kind of mind blowing. I think it's since like the last 6 or 7 weeks or something like that. And of course, this is going into the end of the regular season, but he's rushed for like almost 1,300 yards.
Yeah.
That's hard to fathom in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Well, especially in this day and age now where we have running back by committee, and it's not, we've alluded to and compared him to Adrian Peterson when he was with the Vikings. That was AP's backfield. Maybe once or twice they'll bring in a third down back, but not often. He's every down back. That's why we all chose him in fantasy when he was lighting shit up like that. But you don't get running backs like that anymore.
No.
You don't. Especially that size that can run that fast. And he can juke you or run you over. Doesn't matter.
Was he like he's 250, right? Like 250, 260? I mean,
he's like 6'4" though, too. That's fucking huge.
He could be a tight end, really.
Oh, God,
with his build, but yeah. And he's fleet of foot, like you said. I mean, I've watched him dance in the hole, He gets in the hole and then juke left, right. It's like hitting the B button, when you're playing Xbox. Boom, boom, he's gone, and up the field he goes. It's pretty impressive for a guy that size.
And then the second game, I'm taking San Francisco just because of San Francisco's defense. And kind of alluding to what you were saying, Corey, about now if Rodgers shows up in his vintage Aaron Rodgers, then we have a whole different ball game.
Yeah.
But I think still defense wins these type of games. And I think Jimmy G will make just enough plays that they'll bring it home.
I mean, is it kind of funny when you look at it? 100 years of the NFL, they've opened it up so the offenses can score like it's playing Madden and this and that. And here we are, the Final Four teams. What's their forte this year? Running the ball and playing defense. I mean, for me, I love old school ball. I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
We were talking about it last week. It's like, well, if Tennessee, kind of our picks, Tennessee and San Francisco meet in the Super Bowl, you're not going to have the high flying, high octane offenses. A lot of folks are going to think it's kind of boring. I love it.
Well, look at last year's Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was.
Was that not boring? And it
Yes.
supposedly was supposed to be the the game of the century. We got Tom Brady against the best offense we've seen in the last 25 years. The next greatest show on turf, and what was it, 17-3, I believe, or 14-3, something like
Fucking
that.
garbage is what it was.
So I mean, if you took the over on that, I'm sure you're all PO'd about it.
You lost
Still to
your
this
ass
day.
on that one. All right, well, gentlemen, let's get this special segment going.
Okay.
We are, like I said in the intro, we're going to draft our all-time NFL teams. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to do it kind of fantasy football style. As far as, what are we taking? One quarterback, 2 running backs, two receivers, a tight end, a flex position. Did I put a flex in
Yep,
there?
you got a flex.
And that could be running back, wide receiver, or tight end.
Yep. And then we're on the defensive side, we're going to choose a defensive lineman, a linebacker, and either a secondary, like a safety, free safety, corner, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be crazy. It's going to be fucking awesome. And what's even more crazy is, like I said, it's been a hell of a day. I didn't get to the studio in time to do my research. So we're doing this one off the cuff. We're doing it off the cuff.
But that's what makes it so fun.
Fuck yeah, why not?
Hey, but look at the bright side, man. You got breakfast in bed, dude.
I did. And then lost my car keys.
But found.
Yes, they were found. They were found. So, Corey, what we do is we draw cards.
Okay.
Ace is high. And then whoever has the highest card gets to choose where they pick. So if you want to go first, you want to go third, you want to go second.
Okay.
You are the guest. Go ahead and choose.
All right, let's see here.
Takes it right off the top like a boss.
Look at that. 4.
Have at it, 2Ks.
I think last time I took like a 2 for the NBA.
All right. I like my odds. Fuck.
Are you kidding me?
Corey draws a 4. 2Ks draws a 5, and I draw a fucking 5.
Really lighten them up, boys.
Yeah, so I'll go again here. A 7.
7.
Not much better.
Okay.
All right. Kang.
Let's see. 9.
All right. So it's 2Ks. Where do you want to draft?
I'll go 1.
Go 1. I will go 3.
2 it is.
Corey stuck in the middle with you. Stuck in the middle with you. Says Turbo, stop fucking singing. All right, so in the 100-year anniversary Turbo and 2K's NFL all-time draft, on the clock is Mr. 2K's Kyle Kaler. What is your pick? And by the way, folks, we are doing this snake style, kind of like we did the NBA draft. So,
first pick of the Turbo and 2K's all-time NFL draft. I'm staying home in Detroit, and I'm going Mr. Barry Sanders.
Barry Sanders, pick number 1.
I was going to have to disown you if you said Matt Stafford.
He said, fuck that up. I'm drafting Matt Patricia, bitches.
That's an all-time great coach. I bet, though, if they had, he could probably be on the all-time coaching staffs of the best eaters in the 100 years, though. I bet he could smash a buffet like it's no one's business.
I bet you Andy Reid would give him a hell of a run for his
Oh,
money.
I'm sure of it. Him and Madden.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Corey, who is your first pick, my friend?
I'm going to go with a quarterback.
Ooh.
And I'm going to go with Joe Montana.
Taking Montana, pick number 2. Well, I get pick 3 and 4. And I kind of like this because I can where am I going with this? Let's go Walter Payton. And let's go. I knew it. This is what happens when we don't fucking do it. Yeah. Let's go Walter Payton, and I'm gonna throw you a little curveball. I'm gonna go LaDainian Tomlinson.
Ooh. Mr. TD himself.
Yes.
So that takes it up to me, correct? Since we're snaking.
Correct.
Well, how about at running back? I will take Mr. Jim Brown.
It's a great pick. I almost went there, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna shake things up a little bit. Shake things up.
I'm going running back again, and I'm going Emmitt Smith.
Fucking Cowboys fan.
And
I knew it was coming.
I'm going wide receiver, and I'm going Jerry Rice.
I was I was hoping Jerry would get back to me, but I knew it wouldn't happen. So Corey, where are you going with your next pick?
Well, let's see here. A wide receiver. He was probably Rice's, contemporary. I'll take Chris Carter.
Oh, all Chris Carter does is catch touchdowns.
And he just catches the damn ball too.
Yeah, yeah. Corey, I'm gonna kind of piggyback on your pick and take someone that played with Mr. Carter. I'm going Randy Moss.
Straight cash, homie.
You got mossed. You got
Full
mossed.
moon in Green Bay. That's all I remember. Full moon in Green Bay.
And Mr. Joe Buck persecuting him there,
Yes.
right there. I mean, he was so upset over that.
The one thing Randy Moss doesn't get credit for, though, is he could have a bitching afro, though.
Yes, he
That
did.
was impressive.
Yeah,
That was impressive.
that is phenomenal.
There is not a white guy on earth that could come remotely close to even pulling that off.
Let's see, where do we want to go from here? So many options. Since you took, you know what? Fuck it. Tom Brady.
Ooh,
TB.
TB12.
You guys know my absolute fascination with Mr. Brady. So, probably everyone that says I'm a hater, well, there you go. Fuck you. Drafting him anyway.
Do you do both picks?
Yep, I took Moss and Brady.
Gotcha. Oh, yeah, that's right. Hello.
Which,
Pay attention there,
I
guest.
mean, if you think about it, they played together already, so they're going to have...
They have
you know-
that connection?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm going to stick with receivers, and I'm going to stay in the state of Michigan and go Calvin Johnson. I know he did not, make the 100 all time, but again, I think it was a matter of,
Longevity.
well, yeah, basically. I mean, voters looking at that. If he stayed another 2 years, I mean, everyone talks about Randy Moss, and rightfully so, but I mean, the thing I think Calvin has over Randy is Calvin could run routes like a small guy.
Yeah.
Is where Randy was just, I'm a freak, I'm going 9, catch me if you can.
Yep. And then throw it high, because I could go get that too.
Because I can dunk with the best of them.
Yeah, same with Calvin Johnson, though.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're just two very large men.
235 pounds and you run a 4.3 and you're 6'5", that's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That you're legitimately a freak at that point.
All right, I'm taking the first tight end off the board. I'm going Rob Gronkowski.
Oh, you're taking Gronk.
Me Gronk, me Spike Ball. How I spelled name.
Probably the biggest challenge to defend in all of football. Probably the most difficult matchup, probably of all time.
Hard to argue it.
Yeah.
Also I'm going over to the defensive side of the ball, and I'm going with another Cowboy. I'm going Mr. Deion Primetime Sanders.
Prime time. I was when we were going to the card show a couple weeks ago. My girlfriend's son Cameron was with me, and we started talking, and he's putting together, which I haven't played a Madden game in like 10 years.
Sounds about right for me, too.
And I guess you can piece together you're all kind of like what we're doing here. And they release players every now and again, and you can buy them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was talking about, Deion this, Deion that. And I was like, you ever watched Deion play? He goes, no, but he's got a 99 or whatever. I said, you want to know a really funny story? He goes, what's that? I said, back when Deion was Deion, Nike made a Deion shoe. I had those motherfuckers. Looking back, those are the ugliest goddamn things. And he was also a rapper because he put out a rap album.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
He and MC Hammer.
Yeah. Fucking ridiculous. So, yeah, that was my little Deion story.
So I'm going to go tight end here. And I'm going to go a little old school here. And I'm going to go the coach, Mike Ditka.
Oh.
Only tight end in the Hall of Fame. That was drafted in the top 10.
What was that? Who would win in a fight, Ditka or God?
Ditka, I guess. That's what I heard anyway. I don't know how true that is.
It's a trick question because Ditka is God.
Oh, is that what it was? Oh.
Something to that effect. Something to that effect.
Caught me again.
Well, let's see here. I am going. Let's go middle linebacker. And let's go Brian Urlacher.
Mm.
Which I knew probably going to regret that pick, but oh well. Oh well. And I'm going to go with my secondary pick, and I'm taking Mr. Ed Reed.
I loved Ed Reed.
Me too.
Sneaky.
Probably one of the hardest hitting free safeties in the history of the game.
Just a ball hawk. I mean,
Yep.
everywhere the ball was, he was.
Yeah, because he would break rule in. This is how good of a player he was, though. He would break his rule coverage-wise, but he would study so much tape that he was able to do that. Plus, he had great talent.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and he could get away with that stuff. There's not too many guys that can do that and be successful.
No, you're very right.
Well, you look at like another guy that was kind of had a similar play style was Palomalo.
Yeah.
But he wasn't as talented as Ed Reed to where he could make he was exposed a lot for some of his. He would make great plays, but he would also get exposed a little bit on defense. You didn't see Ed Reed get exposed.
No, but he made up for having great hair.
Yeah, that is true.
I mean,
Yeah, the
head
old
and shoulders parlay. Come on, good marketing there, brother.
Him and Mahomes on that commercial now.
My
Fuck outta
homies.
here. Yeah. Well, up to you, Corey.
Yes. I'm going to go defensive lineman here. There's been some good defensive linemen, obviously, throughout the history of the NFL, but there's no one that really still stands out to me with this guy, and it's Reggie White.
It's always funny to listen to Golick and Wingo and the stories Golick tells about playing right next to Reggie White.
Oh, yeah.
And how he didn't even belong on the same field as Reggie White.
I mean, you have Aaron Donald now, and you've had Warren Sapp, and there's nothing to take away from those guys, but man, when you got to allocate 3, sometimes 4 guys to block 1, it just is crazy. I mean, there was this little blurb that I saw when I was kind of doing a little bit of research for the show, and
Show off.
Jeff Fisher was talking because at that time he was coaching in Philadelphia, and they were doing a joint practice, ironically, with the Lions, and the linemen were doing one-on-one pass block drills, and Reggie came up, and he was taking on the Lions tackle. Have no idea who it was, but it's a moot point. He whipped him pretty bad, got to the quarterback. I mean, it was over in 2.2 seconds. As the story goes, Jeff Fisher said the guy was just cussing him out. Blah, 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 blah. And he walked by and, he said, "What'd you say?" And he got cussed out again. And he goes, "Jesus is coming." So they line back up and get around again. And those two come back up again. And Reggie bull rushes him, as the story was told, and hip tosses the guy, just like throws him forever. And again, the guy's all PO'd, this, that, or the other. He's laying on his back at this point, and Reggie walks over to him, as the story goes still, and reaches his hand down, pulls him up, and goes, "God's here."
I love it. Well, 2Ks, give us one of your picks, then let's do a recap for everybody.
All right, I'm going to go defense side of the ball also, and I'm going to go linebacker and go Lawrence Taylor.
LT.
Oh, yeah.
LT had to change. The man changed football.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
And cocaine dealers' lives.
Which brings me to my next point.
Don't do
smoke
drugs.
crack. Or whatever that line was in Waterboy.
Don't do drugs.
All right, so where we sit right now, both you two have quarterbacks. Corey, you have Montana. Turbo has Tom Brady. 2K is still not taking a quarterback yet. I think I'm going to hold off now on that. Running backs, 2Ks has Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith. Corey has Jim Brown right now. Turbo has Walter Payton and LaDainian Tomlinson. Wide receivers, I have Jerry Rice. Corey has Chris Carter and Kelvin Johnson. Turbo has Randy Moss. Tight end, I have Gronk. Corey has Mike Ditka. D-line, only D-line taken so far has been Corey with Reggie White. Linebackers, I have Lawrence Taylor and Turbo has Brian Urlacher. And then defensive backs, I have Deion Sanders and Turbo has Mr. Ed Reed.
Love it. Love it. And what's your second pick over there, 2Ks?
So I think since you guys have already taken the quarterbacks, I'm going to hold off on my quarterback, but I'm going to take his number one wide receiver that he had in his career, and I'm going to take Marvin Harrison.
Oh, yeah.
I think we know where he's going with his quarterback.
I think so, yeah. I do believe.
And yeah, Marvin Harrison's single season reception record was just broken by Michael Thomas. So that's very legit. There's only 2 people in the world that have caught that many balls in a season. So
That's just crazy.
yeah, yeah.
And Michael, really Michael Thomas could be in this.
Yeah.
I mean,
Michael Thomas was somebody that I really thought about,
because his catch rate was ridiculous. I don't think he dropped maybe 1 or 2 balls all year, if that.
I think someone said he dropped 3 total balls all year, which is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
Okay, so I'll go with secondary here. And he kind of revolutionized the way safeties play to where Polamalu and Reed could go. And I'm going to go with Ronnie Lott.
Oh, I actually have a signed Ronnie Lott card.
You dog you.
Yeah. It's the only I collected cards forever, and it's the only autograph card I've ever pulled, which is kind of cool. And I was telling that story to Cameron. He's like, "Who's Ronnie Lott?" Oh man, we got some work to do here.
Google it, buddy.
Yeah. There we go. I'm trying to find the game here, guys. All right, so it's up to me now.
Yeah, and right now you need a wide receiver, flex, D-line, and a coach.
We did coach in there?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fuck, I forgot about that. Okay, let me think. Where are we going to go with this one? There's too many good guys to choose.
Oh, also tight end. Based
Yeah.
on that.
Well, you guys both have your tight end, so I don't. Well, you could play it as a flex if you wanted to.
You wanted to, yeah.
Let's go. Definitely not going Eddie George because that's who's on TV right now. But shit. Let's go. I'm gonna go wide receiver, and I'm gonna steal him from 2Ks. Michael Irvin, going with the playmaker.
Mr. Miami U himself.
Yeah. Man, there's another like cocaine reference right there.
Yeah.
I mean, is that part of being a great NFL player? Is
Well, I hear it helps you stay focused, I guess.
Is that what it is?
May not be good for the nasal canal, but hey, who's keeping track?
Speaking of Michael Irvin, you've heard the story about him coming back to the Hall of Fame and had no idea where his bust was because he was high as fuck when he got put in there. He had to go ask someone where his bust was. So yeah.
Old habits die hard sometimes, I guess.
I guess so. Let's go. Oh shit. So I've got my 2 receivers now, right?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I am gonna go. Let's go flex on this one. Going crazy. Adrian Peterson. AP all day.
AP.
Could you imagine what Tom Brady could do with a back like that in his prime? It'd be crazy. Crazy. I mean, Brady won all these Super Bowls without a dominant running back ever.
I know.
Ever. And barely any, he had Randy Moss for, 2 or 3 years. And that's the only, and then Gronk. That's it.
Yeah, a couple of really
Yeah.
good slot receivers.
Little white guys run around.
They're wiry.
They're wiry.
Let's see. I still have a running back left, and I'm going to go Marshall Faulk with my second.
I was going back and forth with AP and him.
I might surprise you with the flex.
Uh-oh.
All right, I'm going to go with my flex also, and I'm going to go with a running back in that slot also and go Eric Dickerson.
I like it. Now, is that Eric Dickerson with the sports goggles? And the neck roll? Because if so, that's fucking amazing. I love it. Love it.
That's awesome.
Hell yeah.
And then I'm also going to go D-line, and I'm going to go with Mr. I'm going to go Mean Joe Green.
There you
Good
go.
pick. Good pick. Where the fuck's my phone?
Okay, so I still need a flex and a backer. I'm going to go flex, as I said, and I'm going to go Thurman Thomas.
Ooh, I like it. I like it. Okay.
Googling defensive lineman.
Yes, I am. I sure am. What the fuck? No. Not the all-time NBA defensive team. Stupid Google.
Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
Oh,
Bruce Bowen. All right. What other ones do I have left?
You got defensive lineman, tight end, and a coach.
Right. Well, let's get the tight end out of the way since you guys already have yours. I'm going to go Tony Gonzalez.
he does look good on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Well dressed.
And this is horrible. I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
And Dominican Sue.
That's not it. No. That's not it. And since I can't think of anything right off the top of the dome, I'm going to go coach. The coach that's going to lead these fine group is, man, I got two of them, and which way do I want to go? Well, let's stick with Belichick. I've got Brady.
Mm-hmm.
If I want this team to succeed, we need both of them, right?
There you
we
go.
need both of them.
Okay, so I need a linebacker, and I'm going to go with number 52, Ray Lewis.
It's not a bad pick at all.
Nope. And I'm going to go with my quarterback now, and I'm going to go with Peyton Manning.
Oh, shit, I can't believe I couldn't think of this fucking guy. I'm a moron.
And to final out my draft, after taking Peyton Manning, I'm going to take Tony Dungy as my coach.
Not a bad pair there either. Not a bad. It would have been interesting to see if, obviously injuries, barring injury, how much better, or what the outcome would be if Tony Dungy coached Peyton Manning his whole career.
Mm.
Those two worked so well together, and it was obviously we saw it in Denver. It took a lot of time for everyone to get on the same page, but when they did, Peyton wasn't Peyton as far as arm strength and stuff like that. It was still dissecting every fucking defense like he always does.
Yeah.
But I those two, could be closer to that Brady Belichick relationship if, like I said, injuries weren't a thing. Of course,
If it would have happened and Tony didn't decide to step down.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look what he did for Tampa Bay. I mean, I know Gruden gets the credit, but
yeah,
he built that team.
that was his team. Gruden just drove the car.
Exactly. Brand new car, and I get the keys to it. So I just have coach right. Is that right,
Yep.
Kyle?
Yep.
I've got his quarterback, so I'm going Bill Walsh.
Right. To round mine out, I can't believe I couldn't. I'm going Warren Sapp.
There you go.
I don't know what my brain block was on that. Give everyone that's it, right?
Yep.
Our draft is complete, and 2K Crew, like we did last time, I'll post everyone's team. We'll get a vote going, and I probably should have drafted Michael Jordan, so I knew I'd win.
Yeah, that's how it works. That's what I was just going to say. Like that we figured out in the NBA one that is if you drafted Michael Jordan, you automatically won. Like he could beat everybody.
Yeah, and we also like to make fun of it because Christian's the one who drafted him, and we all know we just like to make fun of Christian.
Well, I know we're talking football right now, but the piggyback off of that, just think, as good as Michael Jordan is, and I consider him the best, but you look at that time in the 80s. I mean, you had Houston had a couple runs. You had L.A., obviously, Boston. The East was a bear back then. I mean, he couldn't get through the Pistons, as we know. It took him 3 years before he could do that. And, I mean, even his own division, you had the Bucks were solid. The Cavs were solid. I mean, he's finishing fourth, in his own division at times and making the playoffs as a 5th, 6th, 7th seed, and people kind of gloss over that fact that Michael Jordan didn't just come out and became Michael Jordan, that guy that's going to rip your heart out and win almost, 6 of 8. But, he had to pay his dues before he got there.
Oh,
so
absolutely. And when he came in the league, he wasn't a great shooter either.
No.
That's something he developed over time.
Well, just look at the end of his career. I mean, he wasn't driving and dunking anymore. He kind of lost that explosion, but he had that low post game, that fadeaway jumper. He had that turnaround jumper.
That's where Kobe got it from.
Forget it.
That's where Kobe got it from.
Kobe.
Kobe. So give everyone a recap. Their 2Ks.
Okay, so 2K's team, I had Peyton Manning as my quarterback, Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith as my 2 running backs, Jerry Rice and Marvin Harrison as my wide receivers, Eric Dickerson in the flex, Rob Gronkowski as a tight end, Mean Joe Green on the D-line, Lawrence Taylor as my linebacker, primetime Deion Sanders as my defensive back, and Tony Dungy as the coach.
2Ks might have the 2 best route runners in the history of the NFL.
Well, he's probably, arguably, has one of the best defensive player.
Yeah.
And then Corey has Mr. Joe Montana as his quarterback, Jim Brown, Marshall Faulk as his running backs, Chris Carter and Kelvin Johnson, wide receiver, Thurman Thomas as his flex, Mike Ditka as his tight end, Reggie White as his defensive lineman, Ray Lewis, linebacker, Ronnie Lott, defensive back, Mr. Bill Walsh coaching that team.
Very nice.
And Turbo had Tom Brady as his quarterback, Walter Payton at running back, LT LaDainian Thompson running back, 2 wide receivers were Randy Moss and Michael Irvin. Flex was Adrian Peterson, tight end Tony Gonzalez, defensive line Warren Sapp, linebacker Brian Urlacher, defensive back Ed Reed, and that team is coached by Bill Belichick.
God, that team's a beast.
I'll tell you what, Turbo, your backfield there is going to catch a lot of balls.
Yes, they are.
Those guys got good hands between the 2 of them, man.
Yeah, and Brady likes to throw the backs too, so it'll all work out. It'll all work out.
We might be screwed here.
Yeah, well, like I said, 2K Crew, we'll post those so you can actually break them down. Tell us what you think. I think there was no Gary Payton picks.
Mm-hmm.
Like
the glove.
Yeah.
Did anyone take Rain Man in that draft? I couldn't remember. Mr. Sean Kemp for those scoring at home?
No.
No, that and I have a feeling every time you say his name, you have to give him money to pay child support. So
I kind of went strategic with this because I wanted to take Brady, but I was like, I think I'm going to get more votes from the fans if I stay away from Brady because so many people are so anti New England.
Yeah, there's definitely a strategy to these drafts because are you drafting just to get the all-time greats? Mm-hmm. Are you drafting whoever's going to put up more fantasy points? Or are you drafting your style to win the public vote?
And I mean, like everybody, all 3 of these teams, I mean, they have probably the players that you can consider the best at that position. I mean,
I just think I think Ryan Tannehill just topped his combined 2 weeks passing and 1 pass right here.
I mean, you look at I took primetime because I'm a huge fan of him but probably the best defensive back of all time, Ronnie Lott. Mm-hmm. You look,
Was it Ronnie Lott that had his finger cut off so he could play and didn't have to
Sure did.
have it braced up or anything?
Yeah, he's got a nub for an index finger.
Crazy motherfucker.
And when it was coming back down towards me for a wide receiver, I had made up my mind. I was definitely taking Kelvin Johnson, and then there at the end, I was definitely going to be taking Adrian Peterson when you took him. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you miss out on Adrian Peterson. So it's hard to say that you're settling for Eric Dickerson. I mean,
right.
Which both of those guys kind of are basically the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know,
just different eras.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, a killer ass neck roll. All right, well, 2K Cruise, we're going to wrap the show up with this, and I don't really want to talk about it, but everyone's talking about it, and just when we think, you know, and looking back on this whole year almost, 2Ks of our broadcast here, pretty much every time we talk baseball, we're talking about how awesome it is that these young kids are coming up, the game's in the right hands, everything's going, you know, absolutely awesome until this.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback off that, talking about, you know, these young players coming up, this is all revolving around a young manager that, I mean, before all this, I mean, to talk about him was he could be the next big thing as far as a manager for years and years and years, because he's only, 43 years old right now, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on, I mean, everything that I had ever heard about him was all positive. Like, I mean, he has a knack for, you know, being able to build a clubhouse, he knew the game, he was smart, and just he was going to be the next big thing. And now after all this, he might not ever have another job in Major League Baseball, and I'm talking about Alex Cora.
Yeah.
He might not ever have a job in professional baseball ever again.
Well, put it this way, him and Hinch both.
Hmm?
If either one of them go to another team, they're gonna be, everything they do is going to be so highly scrutinized. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, you're losing. Of course, you can't cheat anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, you're winning. He must be cheating. You're not going to win any of that. You know, whether, I mean, granted, most people coach for the love of the game. Obviously, the money's a big thing too. But anywhere they go, if they ever coach at the major league levels or anywhere, period, if Alex Cora happens to show up in South Bend for the Cubs down there, some jackass is going to follow him around and do that same exact story I just told you.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, this hits me hard as a baseball fan, but even harder because one of my teams is involved. You know, the Red Sox and, well, Houston is where it all started, and
Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah. And then obviously the link with Cora between, he was a bench coach in 17 when they won the World Series in Houston, went to the Red Sox in 18, they won. So obviously there's a smoking gun there, for lack of better words, and it sucks. It really does. And what really even more sucks as a Red Sox fan is we don't have a fucking manager, and it's a month till pitchers and catchers. Okay, that's awful.
Mm-hmm.
That's awful. That's not the way we want to get this season rolling. I mean, we just signed, you know, they avoided arbitration with Mookie Betts. I'm like, hell yes, let's go.
And they were talking about even trading him too.
Yeah, and then so it's like, all right, well, this absolutely sucks. And then you've all heard us reference the Starting Nine podcast, and one of the hosts, Jared, there's a huge Red Sox fan, and he's taking the more like spiteful approach. Mm-hmm. He doesn't like people calling him out on it. Well, for me, the punishment fits the crime. Mm-hmm. You know, Houston's, you know, they're saying that the whole punishment for Cora is going to be way worse than with Hinch and anyone involved at Houston. I don't care. I don't want this. I don't want this. And for players that are speaking out, that have spoken out in the past, Mr. Justin Verlander, like we talked about before we went on air, you better make sure that your closet is completely clean, because you're going to look like a fucking moron when they come. And if, you know, 2K crew, if you're naive enough to think it's just these two teams doing it, you have a whole other thing coming.
Well, it's like the same thing with the steroid stuff too, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the big guns, they're still trying to grill Bonds, and I mean that one's kind of obvious to the trained eye anyway. I mean your head doesn't go 45 different sizes in a span of, your 20-year career. But
Yeah, at age 35, your head doesn't grow anymore.
I just look at it. It's just another one of those things in this, and I've followed baseball for quite a long time as well. I'm not as big fans as what you guys are, but I still watch.
Yeah.
And I'll go to a Tiger game here or there. I'm not ashamed to say that.
Oh.
I mean, you can get a really cheap seat and end up with a good seat because you can walk down by the middle of the fourth inning right there on the.
I thought they were giving tickets away with 8 ounces or 8 gallons of gas fill up at the station right down the road.
They could be, but it's just one of those things in baseball. I mean, if you look over the years of baseball, there's always been some type of saga or drama or something. I mean, you go, 1917 with the Black Sox, 1917, excuse me, with the Black Sox scandal, and of course Pete Rose and the steroids. There's always something, and I think with this too, this shall pass as well. I just, it's in the forefront of everyone's mind right now. We're in, in our neck of the woods, it's winter, so I mean, baseball's on our minds because we want that nice weather and everything, and I think it's just one of those things that will pass too. And to your point too, Turbo, obviously you're not naive enough to think that someone else isn't doing it. They are. And, I think Hinch and Cora, especially if you're on the team that's on the cusp and really close, I don't see those guys getting blackballed for managing. It might not be next year. It could be 2 years down the road. But, I mean, those guys didn't get there by being idiots either. I still think they're really good baseball guys too. It's just they amped it up a little bit and got their hand caught in the cookie jar is essentially what happened. And there must be something in the water in New England. I mean, you got the Patriots and the Sox. I mean, I don't know what's going on with the Celtics and the Bruins, but I'm sure there's something.
I think with Cora and Hinch both, I think Major League Baseball is gonna set an example with them, and I'm not saying that that's the right approach on it, but I think that it's. I would go out and say that there's probably more teams that are doing some type of sign stealing, not to the extent that Houston was going through in 2017.
No.
And I mean because what they were doing in 2017, and some of this is proven, some of it is still allegations yet. They're still trying to look into. Their investigation was Jose Altuve really wearing any type of a monitor on, but to me, I think Major League Baseball is gonna set an example, and I think with Hinch it's gonna be he was kind of he knew what was going on, but he wasn't the mastermind of it. So
Cora's gonna take the biggest fall out of all this.
Yeah, Cora was the mastermind of all this, and I honestly really think in the end of all of it, Cora's gonna be banned from baseball.
Right.
And
let me ask you guys this. Do you think well, let me put it this way. What do you think about analytics in baseball? You think it's a little bit of overkill? Because
Yes.
I think this is a prime case of analytics running amok. That I joke around with people and say, nerds are starting to get into the game of baseball because they weren't athletic and they want to go, see, we are smart too. Mm-hmm. And I think this is a case of where analytics just went too far, and they got, some computer guy in there who's savvy, who does statistics and everything going, hey, can you do this too? Sure I can, and want to be part of something. Mm-hmm. There's people that disagree with me on that, and that's fine. That's, their opinion as well. Mm-hmm. But I really believe this is just a part of analytics going too far.
Well, it's analytics and technology combined. I think the two go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. The more we're able to study and the new technology comes out where we can analyze everything, those people analyze to produce numbers. And you asked the question, do I think it's the analytics today are overkill? Yes. Yes, I do. But the analytics are exposing the players, meaning you and I have talked about it many times with the shifts. Mm-hmm. If you're a left-handed hitter or a right, especially lefties, because they always shift to lefty. If you can't hit the ball the opposite fucking field, are you kidding me?
That drives me nuts.
Yeah.
That absolutely drives me nuts.
Yeah, and hell, there was even like maybe it was Houston that actually put like the left fielder over there too. So like Joey Gallo, I think is when they did it.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, come the fuck on, and I guess maybe but that's all those dudes do is hit home runs.
Hey.
That's all they do.
Launch angle, baby.
Yeah.
Launch angle.
Again,
Yeah.
another fucking analytic. Yeah.
I might as well bring my driver, set it at home plate, and swing away.
But for the 2K crew out there, there's even though there's a mutual tie here with Cora, what the two teams were doing were very different.
Mm-hmm.
You have the Astros allegedly having like buzzer band-aids and shit on them, and they would bang on trash cans to, all right, well, 2 bangs is change-ups coming or whatever. They were using closed caption TV in the dugout when it wasn't supposed to be there. The Red Sox, on the other hand, were using the TVs provided in the
Hallway.
yeah. So guys can go watch their swings and stuff. They were just using it differently. MLB had asked all the teams, don't use it like this. Okay. I'm not sticking up for my Red Sox because they were the ones that got caught using the stupid Apple Watches.
Yeah, but the Apple Watch thing goes back to before Cora was even there. That happened under Farrell.
Yeah.
I'm saying as a team.
I think, but when a lot of this started to kind of surface, I think a lot of people were using that also against Cora.
Yeah.
And Cora had nothing.
No.
Cora's still in Houston when that was going on.
But as an organization, you've kind of got your slap on the wrist with that one.
And that was this, and the Yankees. They got a slap on the wrist also at the same time.
Yeah,
and
I remember.
That's when they said no to any of that shit in the dugout. So you've already had your slap on the wrist, and now this. I still love my Red Sox, but this is unacceptable. It really is. So I'm not sticking up for Cora at all. What I really need to do is look at, because we've all seen the home and road splits for Altuve, for Bregman, which. And Brian McCann, they're all astronomical. I've never once seen anyone put out a breakdown of the Red Sox home and away. I never have. And when we were talking before we hit record, the one thing I will say is that when you look at the run differential from those 3 teams, 17, 18, well, we're going to include the Nationals in this too. The last 3 World Series champions, the run differential during the playoffs. Houston, I think, was 4 or 5. Washington was right around that 4 and 5 mark. The Red Sox were like 26.
Yeah.
So there's a vast difference. And for CC Sabathia talking about how the Red Sox games should be vacated because of all of this.
How many steroids?
They blew you the fuck up on your field. You can't cheat on your field.
How many players were on CC's Yankees teams that were also in the middle of the whole steroid scandal?
Yeah.
Andy Pettit came forward. He came forward and washed his hands with it. A-Rod, I'm sure.
Giambi.
Oh God,
Yeah, I've got all that little Jambino there.
Yeah. So,
well, here's another thing too. We talk about Houston and their cheating, but you got to give a little bit of credit to that pitching staff. I mean,
oh, absolutely.
We're talking
Absolutely.
about, we're looking at it now just strictly from a hitter standpoint with the scandal or, base stealing and things of that nature. But the other team still had to try to hit the ball against Houston.
Yep.
And I mean, it's hard to hit the damn ball when you're going against 3 Cy Youngs in a rotation too. So there's probably a happy medium somewhere in there.
now here's what's been on my, I've taken all this in, processed it, and I'm like, where do we go from here? My question to you two is, baseball has a way of regulating itself. Now that these two teams everything's out, we're just talking about the Red Sox and the Astros for right now.
Yeah, but I truly think that there might be some more to this Red Sox story that we have, because they're still under investigation. I think they've basically thrown everything on Houston out into public. I don't know I hope that I'm wrong, and I hope, because I'm not a Boston fan, and I don't really care what happens between them. I'm a baseball fan, and I want to hope and say that not all these teams are doing this.
But my question is, like I said, baseball has a way of self-regulating itself. How many How many times does Altuve wear one?
Oh shit.
I have a feeling these dudes that their names have been tarnished. I think these dudes are going to get plunked a lot. A lot.
Altuve, Bregman.
Yep.
I don't know about that. It's really hard because the culture, I guess, or I don't know what the word I'm looking to describe it here, but the culture of the game has changed in terms of, it used to be where if you got one of mine, I'm getting one of yours, and it was a tip of the hat, and you knew, and it was done and over with.
Yeah.
And if there was a real issue, guys are throwing. None of this
pushing, shoving,
braggadocious BS. So we're walking down the first baseline, and they come out of the dugout, and the bullpens both, just do a sprint just to stay healthy.
Yeah.
And everyone's doing stop, quit, stop, no, I don't know if someone wants to take that liberty or not, because the way baseball is now, and with CTE and things of that nature, I think baseball will come down hard on somebody if they're going to take a liberty like that. I really do. I think an opposing pitcher will be PO'd, but I don't think a lot of times they're going to go to the mound going, you know what, you're the one that cheated. And I'm gonna throw a 95, right behind your head. I just think they're going to go, you know what, here's my pitch, try to hit it. And if you can, you can. If you can't,
I hope you're right. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, there's going to be at least 4 or 5 bench clearing things because of this.
And I mean, but these kids from Houston they are good.
Yeah.
Alex Bregman, Jose Altuve, they are good players.
Yeah.
But they were not shy about it. You have Bregman hitting home runs and carrying the bat all the way down to first base. There was already a lot of players around the league that were not happy with these guys.
Nope.
The last thing that needed to happen was to have all this shit surface, because there's a lot of people in baseball right now that are really, really upset. And
for those dudes that do the plunking, like I said, you better make sure your closet is squeaky
Absolutely.
clean,
well,
brother.
to your point, Kyle, those guys, they had, meet the Houston, whatever it was last night, and those two were getting interviewed, and they were still quite smug and, we're fine, it'll pass over and everything like that. So I know that didn't set well with a lot of people still.
No, and if it does turn into something, ugly next season, where there is a bunch of bench clearings and you have Altuve and Bregman, taking, high and in and all that, Major League Baseball is at fault for this, because they're not holding, as of right now, and this could change, but as of right now, they're not holding players accountable.
Nope.
It's all going on managers, coaches, staff.
Yep.
But they've already came out and said, we're not going to hold the players accountable on this. This was all done on the inside. So that part of it I don't agree with. You can take away draft picks, you can fucking put an asterisk next to the World Series, but you're not proving any points until you actually crack down on the players themselves for what they were doing.
Well,
if it's true that these guys were wearing some type of a monitor that was buzzing when they were in the batter's box during playoff games, during a fucking regular season game, then there has to be some consequences. Whether I'm not saying that deserves a lifetime ban, but
No.
a season ban, a half a season ban, that's something needs to happen.
Well, here's the thing too. If baseball, Rob Manfred, if he's really concerned about the image and the look it portrays and all this, then step outside your comfort zone and make an executive decision and go, you know what, we're stripping you of your world championship, and it's going to go to the LA Dodgers. Now, the Dodgers players, as you guys,
they should be the most pissed off because they got beat
exactly.
by both teams.
And as athletes, you want to earn it. I get it, but that would set a precedent right there. Going, I guess we do mean business on this. Now, this is a thing where too much technology became a bad thing, because sign stealing has gone on forever.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Usually, the guy on second, if they're going to steal the sign, then the catcher puts down an indicator that your curveball is now going to be 3 as opposed to a 1 or whatever your sign's going to be, and life goes on. Or to what we talked about earlier, you're getting hosed with high heat, So I just think too, it's something that is a little bit media driven as well. And from an ethical standpoint, they cheated. Yes, that's bad. But do I think it's going to be the killer to Major League Baseball? Absolutely not. Like I said earlier, it's going to be one of these things where time's going to go by, and next thing you know, everyone's like, oh, you remember when? And we're talking about the next huge star.
Right.
Yep. Yep. But I think it's safe to say when you looking back, we get into 2000, we get to the next decade, we get to 2030. I think we're always going to look back on. I think baseball as a whole will always look back on 2017 and think, well, there was some shade behind that World Series, and I think the same thing will always be said for 2018 with the Boston Red Sox.
Which is horrible to say because that 2018 Red Sox team was so fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think the other thing too, though, that people want to fry the big fish, and
Absolutely.
what's more popular, Boston or Houston?
Boston.
There you go. So, they gave them fuel to the fire. I mean, obviously they're smoking guns there, so they did it to themselves. But, they're going to probably attract, and try to hit that harder than they're probably going to hit Houston.
Oh, yeah.
Just because of the name brand.
Yep. Totally agree.
Well, gentlemen, that's about our time. Corey, it's been fantastic having you on. We'll have to have you on more often, my
Hey,
friend.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for your time, man.
Anything else we need to wrap up here, gentlemen?
No, I don't think so.
I think we're
All right.
good, man.
Well, 2K Crew, I just want to say a big thank you for hanging in there. We did give you some extra content this week, but you know what? We had an extra awesome guest, so that's what you get. 2K Crew, have a great week. We'll talk to you. I'm sure you'll see my smiling face on the internet for at least a couple times this coming week. So enjoy the games today. We'll get all, and then of course, we have a week off. The football has a week off. Then it's Super Bowl. So I'm sure we'll be inundated with all of that stuff. So don't worry. We'll give you our ins and outs and everything else too. So 2K Crew, I'll leave you with that. And as always, Jim Rome, we're coming for you. Well, 2K Crew, I did want to say thank you for coming to the end of the video. Make sure you click up here to watch another video. And don't forget to subscribe. And we love you guys. And we're out. And we'll see you next week.